Great news, Bricky. I'm back into knives, I think. But I want my first purchase. You know, I've missed so many knives. New stuff, new steels even. It's all just kind of been whizzing past. I need you to really help me get something that's unique, that's just going to grab attention and just have something that's perhaps really cutting edge, ahead of the curve. Maybe even something that I haven't seen a review of before, you know, that's new on the internet. First review of a really rare, new, cool knife. But what should we get?
I got you a paramilitary too.
Ah.
It's in Cruwear and micarta.
Huh? Snort Fashion test video. We are going to do some edge retention testing on the Cruwear, and then we're going to do it compared to another recent sort of Spyderco steel, Spy 27. We're going to do some rust testing towards the end, and then a quick little review of the paramilitary 2. Stay tuned. See what my grotty little hands are already doing to this micarta. Once this blade gets a grotty little patina on it, it'll be my grotty little knife. First up, we're going to see how the Cruwear edge goes, straight from the factory, total virgin edge, never cut anything before. We're going to see how that goes on the rope cut test, and then we're going to take this knife and we're going to take this knife in Spy 27, both American made Spydercos. We're going to put a 17 degree 1000 grit edge on with the TS Prof and directly compare the two and see how Spy 27, which is like an S35 VN class edge retaining steel, compares to the Cruwear. So should be interesting. Still in the fight. 25 more, just rough. Cool, got enough hiccups to stop. 450 factory edge, pretty bloody good. Thought it was a bit, it feels more like an M4 type steel. I thought they were a bit softer or a bit less vicious than M4, but that's about what an M4 knife would get straight out of box, I reckon. Something similar anyway. Pretty good. Well played, Spyderco, and still by no means a dull edge. It's just started hiccuping on my paper cut, that's it. So, you know, lots of life actually left in this guy for sure. Let's resharpen it though and see how it goes with a peat edge with a 17 degree. We're going to use the TS Prof because that's what I've got out at the moment. The stones on my KME have gone a bit smooth, so these stones are still very good. So we're going to go 17 degrees TS Prof to 1000, and then a compounded leather strop. So we'll do that on the same edge on this knife and on this knife. Yes, that'll do. Oh, so damn hot in my knife lab. Look at this. Look at that. Okay, just do a quick strop on, just a bit of leather I've got around with Ben's Nafs.com paste. I actually put some on this bit of wood here. I thought it might be like a fancy folk deburr on the old balsa wood. This is Ben's green compound from his little Nafs.com kit. Pretty cool. So this nifty little thing that Ben sells. It's got all sorts of little interesting knifey gadgets in it. Little hex heads and all sorts. I found this has a little strop in there. My old belt, I had a belt that was just too crusty, and it was full of just every compound I've ever used. And so I've had to sort of get rid of that one and upgrade, downgrade. This is pretty small, but it does the job of just what I use a strop for, which is pretty much this. The cool thing about these Venev stones on the TS Prof, I thought they actually, even though they 1000 grit on the KME, the 1000 grit does not get me anywhere near a mirror, whereas the 1000 grit on these ones actually does. So, and I'll show you in a second how reflective this edge is. It's a really, really nice edge. And yeah, very, very impressive. Just wipe the smooch off. So you can pretty clearly see the Sharpie, like, you know, illuminated in the edge, you know, it's pretty good for 1000 grit. Much mirror, very shine. Wow. It's already actually a very shiny edge. It's just got a couple of nicks in it. I mean, it needs to be entirely redone. And I just haven't done much other testing on this steel, so I figure why not? What better chance to do it than to see how Spy 27 goes against the poor old Spy 27. You know, it came out, and then S45VN came out, and then Magnacut came out, and well, Spy 27, he never got to take off and have his place in the world. Spy 27 is like S35VN, but notably easier to sharpen. That's my take on it. So let's test that now, shall we, by sharpening it. Righto. This must be how I imagine shooting porno is. The director's like, I've got a pretty simple-ish thing going on, but how else would the viewers want to see it? Maybe from behind the balls, from above, you know? So, yeah, you guys are lucky I care about my editing, hey? Let's get a nice shot of the Spy 27 getting reamed. Check it out, Spy 27 takes 2 sharpeners from both ends, while its usual sharpener watches from over in the corner. Oh, and just finishing it off, crikey. I'm drenched. I'm gonna cut test later this evening because too hot and gross right now. Spritz up on the little belt here and I'll show you. And once again, a nice sharp edge. You can see the Sharpie. Oh, shaky hands, I'm tired. See the Sharpie there, pretty clearly reflected on that 1000 grit TS Prof Venev then stropped edge. Let's see how they compare. Alrighty, so I've gone and cooled off a bit, and I've got my Cruwear knife and my Spy 27 knife with the most same edges that I, a mere human, could put on two knives, and we're going to see which one cuts rope for the longest time before it no longer easily slices a held sheet of paper. Once it starts teacupping on that paper, that's when I stop the test. I've really no idea how this is going to go. I don't think the results should be too different, but you just never know. Sometimes stills surprise me. I don't know the Rockwells of either of these. I would guess in the low 60s somewhere, but even then, not certain. So it's all part of the fun. Let's do some rope cutting. I immediately remembered how much paramilitary 2s or compression lock knives suck to do my rope cutting test because of those stupid grip I have to use to cut against a bench top over and over. It's like a hunched over stupid grip, like gremlin grip. The compression lock sits right on my index finger, and it's like that's how I hold the knife. And yeah, I always forget to set my chair as high as possible. It's so much easier on the arm cut down rather than to cut straight ahead. Anyway, got there in the end. So some differences between the two. The Spy 27 cut through the rope a very respectable 425 times. It's good edge, good steel, you know, about what this class of steel is used to doing with sort of fairly decent edges. And these were good edges. I was surprised they did as well as this one did as well as the factory edge. And sometimes Spyderco's factory edge is pretty bloody good. That being said, in sharpening, I think the Spyderco factory edge was basically already at 17 degrees per side. And I think I remember this one was about the same as well. So it must be what Spyderco aimed for. That being said, this one here, the Cruwear, cut 550 times through the rope. So a slight upgrade on the factory edges results, was at 475. So, you know, pretty cool. And yeah, just a definite improvement over the Spy 27. So, you know, thinking about the differences between these steels, stainless, not stainless. You know, hold edge a bit longer, not as long. Perhaps a bit tougher, not as tough. You know, those sorts of things, those sorts of differences. Is Cruwear good in a pocket knife? Yeah, absolutely. You just need to know that it's going to change color on you over time, unless you really fuss over with your oils and your whatnots. But you know what? I think these steels actually look kind of nice as they change in age and whatever. My stretch and my Endellas in my K390, they go a bit darker grey, and my stretch there. My stretch has got the wearings of use all over it. It's, you know, it happens. And you know, Cruwear's sort of in the same ballpark really as in terms of function as, you know, it's somewhere between like M4 and K390. I think it's a lot easier to sharpen and deal with than M4. Holds an edge for maybe not quite as long. I think M4 can hit higher numbers if I really push it, but M4 could be a little bit more punishing as well. So yeah, interesting. Overall, really happy with my Paramilitary 2 in the micarta handle. I really like that as well. So yeah, good knife, good edge, good results. Thumbs up. So I just thought while I was editing, I thought I'd throw some thoughts out on the PM2 as a knife, perhaps a bit more of a review, you could call it, rather than just fussing over what the steel can and can't do. PM2 is a great knife. It's a really safe purchase. You could get a PM2 for pretty much anyone once they figure out if they're a complete noob, they might take a minute to figure out the compression lock, but after that, it's a pretty, overall competent knife. In my collection, however, it sort of doesn't sit in a particular sweet spot for me. So this is my user knife. Like, this is my main, like when I'm actually going out doing proper knife stuff, I'll take my K390 Stretch. This is a knife that's a similar size and even really a similar level of profile capability as the PM2. It's obviously it's a lockback, but similar size blade, similar size handle, forward finger choil, whatnot. The Stretch is a thinner blade and it cuts better in my opinion, and I prefer the steel K390, and I prefer the lightness and the sure grip and also the rounded shoulders of the FRN. So these aren't as nice, so to speak, as the any of the PM2s really. They're all in G10, micarta, whatever, but this is kind of my user knife. This is the knife I'll take to open up a bag of compost or something like that. And then when I've got my EDC knife, when I've just got a knife in my pocket, I'm not particularly planning on doing anything outside, I'll take a TRM Atom, a TRM Neutron, or indeed the TRM Atom. These are better overall EDC knives where you don't perhaps need as much rugged reliability or ease of use in a lock or whatever. They're both just liner locks, lighter use, but really nice and thin knives, really good slicers. So while for me, I'll always say the PM2 is a good, safe knife, and the thing about these TRMs, they're not that easy to get, so it might be a moot point anyway. It's just not quite a complete sweet spot for me in my collection, as usually I'll be using one of those two other knives, unless I just look at it that morning and decide that I might carry it because I like it today, which is definitely a time, a very real thing that happens in a knife guy's year, I'm sure. I like it a lot more than the PM3 or the Para 3. Para 3, for me, if I have these two, I can't really tell the difference in my pocket between the Para 3 and the Para 2. I know it's a bit shorter, or it's a fair bit shorter, but it generally has the same sideways footprint. It's a little bit lighter, but it's not so much lighter that I'm like, oh, I've got a really lightweight knife in my pocket. They're still quite big and cornery around the sides, and I never really saw the Para 3 is a particularly class-leading knife. Whereas I think the Paramilitary 2, for an attainable, somewhat rugged knife, is still quite class-leading. But just shrinking the blade down to 3 inches didn't really do much to improve it. I think it just sort of changed it. It was the answer to a question that no one was really needing answered. It's just my opinion. It's still a well-made knife, and I totally get why people do like them, and 3-inch and below blades are important for other reasons, I'm sure. But I like the PM2 a lot more than the Para 3. That's never really been in question for me. Just in terms of my general knife range, my knives that I have at home, I always just find it sitting between the Stretch, or one of my more sort of rugged, simpler knives, I guess, just basic lockbacks, and something like the TRM Neutron 2, which is something just for me, it's a EDC, a pure EDC. Apart from that, they're really well made. They're made in America. Great sense of, adventure in the steels and the handle materials you can get. There's always a Paramilitary 2 sprint run coming out in something or other. So great collector knives, great knives in general, great standard knives. I'm glad I have one again because they're really good comparison knives, and they are fun to carry and they're fun to flip open, and they do have a bit more of a fidget factor than either of those other two knives. So that might be what keeps bringing people to them. The lock is certainly fun to play with, that's for sure. Much more fun than a liner lock or indeed a lockback. So there's that little element to it as well. But for me, that's kind of why I've never gone on too much about the PM2. It's just always been in an awkward spot for me, done better by other knives. Final thoughts. I think I talked briefly about stropping. So back to you yesterday, Pete.
Oh yes, and one more thing, I'm that confident to say that it will, because I just have a feeling that Cruwear is one of those more forgiving steels that should just strop back and that little hiccup should be gone.
pretty much a few more goes and it will be back to a, 99%, which is really, if you get into the habit of doing that every so often with your knives, you probably barely need to see a sharpening stone of any kind. So that's pretty, you probably already knew that. All right. Hello there, it's me, Algorithm Man. Here at The Algorithm, we've noticed you've enjoyed watching Man Repetitively Cutting Rope, and we thought you might enjoy these other fine suggestions from The Algorithm. A live stream of a clock, tour of a cardboard box factory, a video of a man counting change, the color beige, pocket protectors, anime body pillow, Tifa Lockhart, Grand Design Season 4 on DVD.